Okay, welcome to this giant update episode. In this episode, I go through a March reflection. I talk about all the wins I had as well as the obstacles that I faced. As I go through this reflection, I spiral into so many different topics like abundance. Talk about human design. I talk about creativity, the creative entrepreneurship journey, the development and unfolding of my spiritual journey, such as learning about Jesus for the first time. I talk about getting into good habits. It's a great spiraling discussion. I talk about my April intentions. It's like a big old grand update episode. And before we get into it, I just want to shout out that my Patreon community is up and running. If you want to listen to this podcast ad free, I also occasionally throw up bonus posts and updates. Occasionally I do Zoom events. I just got done doing weekly meditation classes. I may do more of those or different sort of hangout events. We've also got a group chat going. You're welcome to ask questions. It's a great little online community and a great way to support me. That link is patreon.com/George Poulos. And now let's get into the episode. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the George Poulos podcast. I'm actually really happy and excited to be creating and expressing and sharing this time together. I took a few weeks off of the podcast and I'm like ecstatic to be back. You're going to pick up on this energy throughout the episode, but I'm really on my discipline and routines and manifesting energy, and we're going to get into all of it. But I'm looking at my content calendar right now. Yes, I have a content calendar again, and I see the list of podcast episodes that I'm going to be releasing every week, and it's so nice to be in this mode of yes, I'm committing to my creativity. I'm committing to my expression. I'm doing it. And I also just wanted to reflect that you guys are literally my best friends. You guys are my soulmates in this world. I don't share my truth like this anyplace else, really. I mean, I know I'm sharing myself on the internet. I'm shining my light. I'm doing all that. But on this podcast, I'm really, really being very truthful and very vulnerable. Not everyone, it's not in many contexts or cases where I'm able to express myself like this, the deepest intricacy of the exact point of the journey that I'm on. I'm really, really sharing it here, really going into it and exploring it fully. And I know that as a listener of this podcast, we share this connection. And we really are soulmates, so I am really grateful for you. And part of why that, I think, sentiment is coming out is because a lot has been developing in my mind. A lot of beautiful seeds have been ripening. And okay, so I mentioned the manifestation energy I'm on. I've been really trying to, as always, deal with my fear, challenge those limiting beliefs, and adopt a more positive mindset, a more expansive, a more loving mindset. I've always been on this journey of trying to be free, trying to be able to express myself fully and honestly and completely. And okay, anyways, I wrote myself a little creator manifesto. A creator manifesto. Basically something for me to just look at and review to help me get over my fear, get over my ego when I sit down to create something. Okay, and time and time again, I struggle with my ego when it comes to creating. I become afraid to express my truth. I become afraid that people aren't going to like it, that the algorithms aren't going to like it, etc. I've been on this journey for years. But because of all the inner work I've been doing and the process of growing up and my frontal lobe developing, I'm turning 27 this month in April 13th. all the experiences, all the wisdom I picked up during MTT, and my years of spiritual study and practice, they've just all been leading to this strengthening of my ability to sidestep my ego. I got a little lost in that thought. Pretty much the one main thing that's on my creator manifesto is this: my followers adore me. They can't get enough of me and my mind. They can't wait to hear from me. I think of my younger self on people counting on me. So those are the only two things I have right now on my creator manifesto. And basically this is something that I read to myself to kick me into the realization that this creation, this expression, is far bigger than me. It's not about trying to prove to anybody that I am a certain way. It's not about getting people to like me. It's not about filling some void within myself. It's the realization that I am inherently whole and complete. I've also been on a life journey that has garnered a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom. And this is not just me, by the way. This is each of us. We all have this power, this inherent wholeness, this inherent more than wholeness. We all have a gift. Okay, and so realizing like, oh, I have people out there. I have people out there. And you listening to this, so do you. So I want you to create with this energy of like, oh, people are resonating with me. People are listening to me. The experiences I'm sharing that would have helped my younger self are going to help them too. There's people going through the same thing. Okay. And if the ego is really present and big, the creator manifesto that I just read can be flipped into this like, I'm better than everyone purpose, but it's actually the way I struggle with my ego is my ego always wants to play the game of like, I have nothing important to say. I should just hide. I should wear a mask and be someone else because that's how I'll get approved. That's how my ego plays. So anyways, on this energy of manifestation and routine and discipline and mindset adjusting, I've actually, for the first time in a long time, remembered to do a March reflection and April intention setting session. So it's really interesting to observe the cycles that I'm on because when I look at my past self, particularly in college, I was like crushing my classes. I was crushing my YouTube channel. I was expressing myself. It's funny to look back on. It's almost like, like, did I know something back then that I've lost sight of? It almost seems like I did. Okay. I do think much of my creativity was I was putting in a lot of effort and hustle because I thought that I needed to craft a mask. And I think eventually that led to my burnout, which led to the spiritual journey, which led to this kind of creation, which is more just like I'm sitting on the couch and I'm talking and I'm not, and what's coming out is just a documentation of what I'm experiencing, basically. So there's been a difference, but my past self knew something. Like my past self manifested 10K subscribers and then 100K and then a full-time job. Like I manifested that. I journaled it. I saw it. I believed it. I knew it was possible. My actions aligned. I did it. I was even thinking about how I used to keep these amazing notebooks with all these checklists, and I would have each of my college classes and all the assignments, and I would have Aeroskako and everything I had to do, and my YouTube channel and everything I had to do. And I was looking back at this notebook. I was like, how in the heck was I doing all this? Because I seem to have fallen into a hole where I can't even keep up with my weekly podcast. Okay. And at that time, I was also doing like daily reflections, weekly reflections, monthly reflections. So it's nice that I am in this place of doing this again. I've been really trying to get on good habits, routine, discipline. There's a big discussion here we could have about like discipline versus like going with the flow, right? This is something I've been exploring for a long time. And right now I'm like, oh yeah, let's do the discipline, the routine thing, baby. And it's been working really well for a few weeks. I want to bring you through my March reflection. Okay. So these are my wins. Okay, I followed through with my weekly skate channel challenge. I allowed myself to flop and I felt freer on the other side. So in March, I challenged myself to post a YouTube video every week on my skate channel in an effort to free myself up creatively on that platform. This is the channel that I built throughout my college years. It's the channel I've had since I was 10 years old. It's the channel that became my full-time job that I then burnt out on. And I had all this, I had this spiritual experience of like clinging on to the skater identity and being afraid to let it go and being attached to algorithms and validation. All of that sort of manifested through this YouTube channel. And I woke up one day in early March and I was like, or maybe it was late February, and I was like, oh, and I had also just finished a 30-day posting challenge on Instagram where I allowed myself to share whatever I wanted to. And I realized I'm still putting up this front on this skate channel. Like, I'm not free here. Okay, so I simply challenged myself to post whatever I wanted once a week. And I did it. And it was super triggering because I would post videos and they would totally flop. And I almost gave up on this challenge multiple times, but I ended up pushing through and posted these videos week after week. And I did leave with the experience like, oh, it's like this huge fear I had about videos flopping on my big skate channel. It happened. I experienced it and it wasn't that bad. And now I actually feel like I could post whatever I want there, which is pretty cool, right? So that was a win. Okay, next win in March. Okay, I opened myself to abundance. And this is going to be a big topic that I'm going to touch on this episode because this has been... Okay, the way my brain has worked since childhood is I get really obsessed with certain topics and then I go all in on it. And right now, my topic of obsession has been abundance in the form of money, which is really interesting, but that's just where we're at. Okay, let me finish reading the point. Okay, open to abundance. This is a win I had in March. After a conversation I had with Julia, my partner, we had a very insightful conversation about money. And we are like life partners, so we share an apartment, so we talk about money a lot. After a conversation with Julia, I opened myself to abundance in all forms. I sidestepped my "this one thing has to save me" thinking. I reopened my Fiverr, weirdly immediately got over $1,000 in easy UGC gigs. I set higher rates. I accepted a BetterHelp brand deal. I stopped accepting free Amazon videos. Okay, so the Fiverr, the BetterHelp brand deal, the Amazon videos, these are touching on 3 of the practical things that I do to earn money. And I've been going through this process of like, okay, first of all, I've been getting sick and tired of not making a lot of money. Simply put, I'm just like, I hit a point where I'm like, fuck this. And actually the spiritual work I've been doing has led to this point because I think that spiritual work in general gets you to challenge your stories. And I simply hit a point where I'm like, okay, maybe it's time to challenge my story about money because I see all these fears. I see all these limiting beliefs. I see that I am scared to make money. I'm scared to sell things. I feel bad when I like announce that things are for sale. This is another example of something where in the past I was like looking at what I used to do. I was like, like I had a big clothing brand. I was like selling a lot of clothing. That's really interesting. What happened? Why did I become so afraid to like sell stuff? It's interesting because if my theory is right that back then I was really performing and mask wearing and living out this mindset of like, you got to grind and make money and be someone in order to succeed. Now I'm shifting to, I'm just putting myself out there pure and honest, pure and authentic. I could see how I have a new learning curve of like, okay, I'm going to sell something that's now my raw heart. Like I'm not performing to this high standard that I learned through my conditioning. Specifically, I think about like, I was taught like I have to get good grades. Even if I don't like the class, I have to get an A. Like it's my worthiness is dependent on that. So I took that energy into my work. I'm like, okay, I got to achieve, I got to perform, right? All of that led me to like crafting a mask and sort of hiding my vulnerable parts. But through the spiritual journey and the awakening and the meditation and the study and the practice, I realized, oh, I can be myself. I can make money by being myself, but there's still these blocks and fears here. Okay. I know I'm saying a lot here, but let's just keep getting through it. Okay. So I started to get really deep and thinking about like, okay, what can I do with my business now that I'm not afraid to show up as myself? And I actually like closed all my side hustles. I stopped doing them. I stopped accepting work. I stopped accepting brand deals. And I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out the aligned business. And then Julia and I were having this conversation about how like abundance can come in many different forms. And it also rings to, I was reading a recording of an audiobook called A Course in Love. And there was a chapter on abundance, and the narrator who was reading it, his name is Barry. He read a portion of the book which said, he was like, you think that money doing something you love is somehow better than money from toil. And he kind of had a snarky tone to it. And I was like, like I do think that. Like, why do I think this same exact money is better if it's from something I love versus if it's something I don't love as much? Like, it's still money. Okay, so I realized I was putting all this pressure on creating a quote unquote aligned business, which don't get me wrong, I'm still going to do. But Julia and I shared this insightful conversation that made me realize, oh, why don't I just like open myself to money wherever it comes from? And when I tell you that immediately when I did that, like I relisted my Fiverr, which is a freelance service that I use to find brands who want like a little TikTok video ad. I immediately, I think it was the same day or the next day, got, like I said, over $1,000 in gigs. And I was like, And then right after that, I got the BetterHelp brand deal. And I was like, And then it took out my stress and anxiety. And now as I'm sitting and recording, swimming in this freedom. And as I think about this quote unquote aligned business, there's not that much pressure really. So I'm able to come at all this from a more calm place. And generally, here's a spiritual concept. Like, there's this idea that abundance is already ours. Like, it's the ego that thinks we're small and separate, but the truthful layer is that everything we can perceive, all the abundance we can perceive is already ours. So shifting to that gratitude and that knowing opens the nervous system to receiving abundance. And I've been playing with that and having a lot of fun with that. And let's get into the next win for March, which is going to develop this idea. So in March, I developed my money mindset. I realized I've been blocking my blessings. I've been carrying limiting stories about money and fear of selling. Okay, in March, I did much studying about money and sales. This will continue into April. Right, so like I said, I've just had this big realization that I've actually been ego identified, attached to a story that I'm broke and that it's hard for me to make money and that I don't know how to make money. And I'm ready to bust through that. So I've been studying, I've been getting books. Let me just show you how it is, okay? I got the books. So I want to incorporate the reading updates again. This reading update might be scattered throughout the episode, but okay, this is You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. This was recommended by my friend Hannah. And I'm almost halfway through the book now, and this is a great book about money mindset and reframing money as not bad and not evil and actually something that's very abundant and easy to make. And so on this energy of manifestation, I'm not so worried about the practicals of things. And manifestation is the same as karma and emptiness, by the way, if you remember all the discussions we had about that in previous episodes. Karma and emptiness is Buddhism talk for what you pay attention to becomes your reality. So I'm actually, the reason I'm reading books like You Are a Badass at Making Money is because I want to put my mind on positive money mindsets. Because I actually know for a fact that that's all I have to do to make more money. And I like that I'm saying that because this is exactly how I felt when I committed to my YouTube channel back in college. I remember knowing for a fact that I was going to hit 10,000 subscribers. The reason manifestation or karma and emptiness, the reason it works is because when you focus your mind and really believe that you're capable of something, of being better, of making a lot of money, of becoming enlightened, of loving everybody, whatever it is at your phase in the journey, whatever your goal is, quote unquote, as you pay attention to it and believe it and envision that it is already given, which is the truth, it is already yours, your actions seamlessly start to align with that outcome. And on the other hand, when you walk around with limiting stories about who you are, like making money is hard, I don't know how to make money, money's bad, or I'm shy, I don't have confidence, I don't know what to do, those negative stories similarly, our actions will seamlessly align to support those negative stories. This is manifestation. This is meditation. This is our power, really. It's that what you focus your mind on, you become. That's why we do the inner guide meditation, or that's why they do it in Buddhism, and I've been practicing it, because if you put your mind on a higher self, on an enlightened being, if in that meditation you allow yourself to feel that it is already arrived, your actions, your thoughts, your words start to align behind that to support that vision becoming a reality. Okay, this is what they've all been talking about this whole time. All the manifestation girlies, they were right. It lines up with all the spiritual principles I've been learning. And I've experienced it in my life when I manifested the YouTube channel, okay? And I'm excited to be at this point where I'm ready to do this with money. It's also something, I really like the Gandhi quote, "My life is my message." And I don't think that I want to teach people that they have to be broke. I don't want to teach people that being broke is righteous. I think I want to teach people that abundance is ours. And we all have tremendous gifts inherently, not by pushing and pulling and trying so hard, but inherently by opening our mouths and being ourselves. That is valuable, and that abundance that we share by sharing our gifts will be returned to us if we only get out of our own way. So I'm going to be a living example of that, and I'll keep you posted on my progress. I'm choking up because I have these bad beliefs about money. The past story that I'm letting go of is that what I'm about to say makes me selfish or bad or dirty. But my new story is that everyone can have this. So I'm going to make 10K a month. That's what's... See, the universe agreed. That's what's going to happen. And it's not bad. And this book, You Are a Badass at Making Money, is helping me realize that actually having an abundant amount of money is going to help me be okay, first of all, because I'm sick and tired of skipping hangouts with friends, skipping travel to see friends, skipping opportunities because of the money. It's going to help me be myself, and as I'm able to, and it's going to help me support others better, I'm really tremendously excited about this journey, okay? And to flesh out the point I was making, I want to teach abundance. I don't want to teach lack. I want to teach abundance in all forms: love, creativity, expression, money. The whole spectrum of abundance is what I believe is true, and I want to embody it as a lesson to everyone who takes any sort of inspiration from me. It would be a disservice to teach anything but abundance, okay? Okay, next March win. I said no more often in order to clear up space in my mind/energy. This opened up a lot of space for more aligned actions, and this lines up well with my human design. We're going to get into human design in the next point, but yeah, okay, so in March I started saying no, even though it was really uncomfortable for me. So it's really interesting because during my MTT era, I came out of such a deep hole that when I stopped hiding, I just said yes to everything. I said yes to literally everything. I was doing everything. I was running around, going crazy, talking to everybody, back to back events, absolutely everything. And then I hit a point more recently where I realized, like, I'm fucking overwhelmed. I'm completely overwhelmed. And there's something in my life that needs to be sorted. And it is, frankly, well, there's a lot. I realized I had been saying yes to absolutely everyone else. But meanwhile, my habits aren't in check. My lifestyle isn't in check. My money situation is not in check. I had kind of lost myself, and important things that I needed to focus on started to reveal themselves. And I, in March, allowed myself to trust what my inner being was feeling. And I said no to cut off some of these commitments I had made to free up that space so I could have the space to rest. I could have the space to hone my habits and iterate on my weekly system to try to figure out what's working for me. The space to prioritize my art and my expression and my creativity. Okay, and this has been beautiful, guys. And I really realized through this that I genuinely, and I feel it every time someone asks me to do something, I have a incredible fear of saying no. For some reason, when I'm asked to do something, and I don't really want to do it, I just can't get the no out. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm scared of letting the person down. I don't know how to say it. Okay, so, but in March, I started practicing saying it anyway. And that no is very, very powerful. I think the yes is really powerful when you're sort of lacking in a direction or the purpose is unclear. I think it's nice to say yes, to have experiences and dabble and figure out, okay, where do I want to press into? But then when it's like, there are phases when it's like, you fucking know what you want to be doing and focusing on and working on. And in those phases, the no is very powerful. So I've been training myself that, it's safe to say no. I don't have to say yes to everything. My lovability does not depend on being there, showing up every single time for everybody. So that's been a cool pulling back. And I mentioned the human design. Okay, so in March, I got into human design. And I didn't mention this, but okay, on the money side of it, when I hit my snapping point where I was like, fuck this, I'm done playing this scarcity mindset game with the money. I also hired a coach, like a business coach, to help me sort my shit out. Because guys, it's crazy in my mind. And I'll mention this too, because in the past few months, I've been watching Dan Coe, and he said something that hasn't left my brain since. He said that if you don't sell a product or a service, one will be assigned to you. And that kind of split something in my mind, because I realized that I'm super comfortable because of my conditioning, right? We're all conditioned, go to school, be a good boy and girl, then get a job. And getting that secure job, what are you doing? You're helping someone else sell their product. So when Dan Coe said this, sell your own product or service or one will be assigned to you, my mind split open. My mind exploded. And I was like, the fuck, yo? Like, I'm extremely comfortable and confident when it comes to selling other people's products. I mean, look at the ways I make money. I make money by brand deals, Google AdSense, right? The ads that run on my YouTube videos, selling other people's products. Brand deals, I'm selling someone else's product. The Amazon influencer side hustle, I'm selling other people's products. I'm able to really put myself out there and help other people sell their products, but I have an incredible fear of selling my own products. This all blew my mind, okay? And then I had the opportunity to work with this coach, and I've been thinking about karma. And the explicit karmic law says that the only way to make money is by spending money. You have to give in order to receive. This is karmic law. And funny enough, it's also business law. Like, that's something that one of my earliest business mentors, Brett Conti, told me when I was scared to buy my first camera for my YouTube channel. He said, you need to invest in your business. That's how it grows. That's how you get better. That's how you improve. And the way that business principle lines up with Buddhism is fucking ridiculous. It is exactly the same. Okay, so I knew with certainty that if I wanted to take my business more seriously, start making more money, the only way for me to do that would be to spend an uncomfortable amount of money on this coach. And I felt the true call to do that work with that coach, and I went for it. Okay, so big, scary, uncomfortable amount of money, backed by an intuitive call, Buddhist principles, business principles. And it makes perfect sense, right? When you spend a scary amount of money on your business, what are you going to do? You're going to start taking your business more seriously. You're gonna, it's also that, like, okay, in the karmic lens, me watching myself spend that much money and handing it over to someone else for their service, it's showing my mind that it's okay to receive large amount of money for a service, right? So I'm training myself karmically in this way through that action. I also paid off Julia's credit card debt. I literally was like, fuck it, like it's time to open. And the way that I first started opening was through giving. Instead of clinging and fear, right, which closes everything off, which is what I was taught for my whole life about everything, clinging and fear. It's just like, no, let me fucking rip this off. Let me spend all this money that I think is keeping me safe. Because I hit a point, I was like, how long am I going to be living in this fear? Anyways, that all came up because the coach I'm working with introduced me to human design. And I bought this book. Here's the second book of the reading update. This is Human Design by Jenna Zoe, which is, it's basically like an overview of human design. Okay, human design is like a... And it's interesting because I first heard about human design through a creator named Keolani Young on TikTok. This was a long time ago, and everything that came out of her mouth was blowing my mind. And I didn't specifically look into human design until now. But it really resonates, and astrology has never really resonated with me, but human design really resonates with me. What is human design? Because nobody told me this. Some guy, I don't know, maybe he was a doctor or something. I don't know what his background is, but he received a download from God or the universe and then wrote down the human design system. And it's this interesting looking graph that says things about you. It's similar to astrology, right? On that note, A Course in Miracles was also written from a divine download. And okay, this has just got me thinking, that this idea of downloads from source, from the universe. I like it. Okay, human design. There are some principles in here that have helped me a lot, okay? And saying no is relevant because my energy type in human design is generator. And as a generator, supposedly, I'm really meant to trust my gut. And when I think about my life, when I feel called to do something, there's like this excitement, this fire. It's like, yes, I want to do it. And I could focus on it for hours and hours and hours. You're feeling this energy right now as I'm recording this podcast. I want to do this. I love it. I fucking love it. And everything I'm talking about and sharing, it's lighting me up. Like, it's lighting me up. My juices are flowing. My cells are lighting up. Everything is open. That's how I'm supposed to feel if I want to say yes to something. On the other hand, if I feel uneasy or like I'm not sure, according to my human design type, that means I should say no and keep the space open. Because when the space is open, there's room for things to come in that really light me up again. And then I can go for those. And this lines up with my experience so well. Like, it sounds really simple, actually, right? It's like, when I want to do something, I should do it. When I don't want to do something, I shouldn't do it. That sounds obvious, right? But we're in this human game where, because of our conditioning, we were taught to use the mind so much that when we know we want to do something, like, it could be as simple as, the sun just poked out, I want to go for a walk. Then, because of our conditioning, because we were taught to make decisions using the mind, then we go, but I should really be working. I don't know if I really want to go for that walk. But you knew, your body knew. So human design has been tuning me into my body intelligence, giving me confidence in saying no and confidence in saying yes, because I've been trusting it when I hear of an opportunity and I almost lean into it out of excitement, versus when I hear of an opportunity and there's like a pulling back. Okay, so it's really, really fascinating. And I've been really aware of how the mind will jump in no matter what it is. Okay, in my experience, and I'm just observing my past, when an opportunity comes up and I feel that, ooh, I'm not sure, but then my mind convinces me that I ought to do it, so then I say yes anyway. I say yes when I meant no. That's a line I got from my coach. When I say yes when I mean no, and then I go to do the thing, show up to the event, try to fulfill the agreement, whatever it is, it's like I'm fighting. It's painful. Like if it's some sort of in-person thing, it's like I'm a bummer. I'm not a good energy. Okay. This has been cool. Maybe you can feel it. And there's other things besides the guidance on saying yes versus no. It's been really cool. Probably something I'll do. And I wish you could see right now, but I've been re-entering this mode of just like, and it goes along with the human design. Oh, okay, one more thing about the yes and the no. It also lines up with Buddhism. Okay, because there's this idea in Buddhism about false refuge. False refuge is when you think that making the quote unquote right decision is going to bring you happiness. So that puts you into this calculating mode. Okay, I haven't a pull to go for a walk, but now my mind is like, oh, what's the right thing I should do? Should I stay and work or should I go for that walk? You're getting into a false refuge situation where I think one or the other is going to make me happier. So therefore I have to think and pick the right one and all this. But actually what my human design type is suggesting is that like, you feel the pull, just go. It's also lining up with Zen. You hungry, eat. You sleepy, sleep. You want to go for a walk, go for a fucking walk. Okay, so a lot of confidence and the all the work I've been doing in putting the ego aside. It's like so many of the calculation of what's the right decision also comes from the ego wanting to assert itself and make the right decision and make sure everybody likes you and you're, being responsible, all this calculation stuff. This go with your gut advice, it's like it's lining up with all the spiritual advice, okay? It's making me think of Course in Miracles a lot, because A Course in Miracles is heavy on like, okay, we're in the fucking manifestation of the Adam and Eve downfall. We are in our mind when we're meant to be in our heart. We learned to make decisions with our mind, to calculate them, rationalize them, try to predict the outcome, all of which is impossible. Living in fear is living in mind. Living in fear is living in ego. There is a way to completely toss it aside and live from your heart and really be yourself. So it's just nice to have it reaffirmed at another angle, giving me more confidence in making these bold decisions, whether it's a yes or a no. Okay. Another win in March. I got physical. I embraced my love for writing things down. I started sticking things on the wall again. I got this notebook. This is really helping me stay motivated and organized. So like I said, when I was pondering about my past self and thinking about how I had all these notebooks and I was also doing Post-its on the wall, I was like, why did I stop doing that? It's almost like I started to feel like I had to get professional and do everything on the computer and Notion. And don't get me wrong, I love using Notion, but like, why did I stop slapping shit on the wall? I got these journals. I've been doing all my planning in here. I've been scribbling. I got another notebook, a separate one for morning pages. I've been cutting out pieces of paper. I've been using my hands and using materials, and and feeling like an artist as I slap Post-its all over the studio. My content calendar is physical. I found a giant whiteboard on the street. There's writing all over it. There's different categories of to-dos all over the wall. I'm connecting to this artist energy of like the tool that you use to do anything is important. The way that the journal feels that you're writing your morning pages in, it changes the writing. I actually first observed this more recently, not for the first time ever, but more recently observed this with social media creation. I realized like typing out writing on Substack, it moves me in a different way versus like writing in my notes app. Speaking on this podcast, just knowing it's going to the podcast platform and this audience, it elicits a kind of speaking that's different from if I sit down intending to post on the skate channel. I realize the tool and the medium and where you're posting, and if you're writing your schedule on a physical thing versus on Google Calendar, it changes based on the tool. So it's this cool, oh yeah, I am an artist connection that's been really enjoyable. Okay, next win for March. I hosted Patreon meditations. I did it. I hosted all of the meditation classes that I set out to. I had such beautiful experiences bonding with my community and getting my teaching reps in. I'm feeling very capable of hosting Zoom events now whenever called. This is huge. So yeah, actually it was Dan Coe who, through his philosophies and motivation, encouraged me. I had this idea after MTT to host meditation classes, and I put it off for so long out of fear and just feeling like it would be uncomfortable and scary. But then at some point I was watching a Dan Coe video. I snapped and I was like, fuck this, I'm putting him on the calendar and I'm announcing it. And I did. And I think it was like 6 or 7 weekly meditation classes for the Patreon community. To everyone who joined, I love you. Thank you. It was so fun. And I just wanted to write that as a win as I was reflecting about March, because I did it. I was scared and I did it anyway. And it was really beautiful. Okay. And I'm more capable now. And that's how facing fear works. Okay, next win for March. I started working with my dad as a social media client. This is giving me vital experience in this realm, testing the process, seeing how I like it, what works, etc. So the primary business I'm thinking about beginning, or I am creating a business where I coach people spiritually and with creative expression on social media simultaneously. And I stepped into trying it out with my dad because he released a book, which is great, by the way. This will be another reading update because I did read this recently. This is my dad's book, Brooklyn Winded. It's mystical, spiritual poetry. As I was reading this, I was like, damn, I'm really similar to my dad. It took me a while to become spiritual and to understand like all the like Tai Chi and spiritual seeking he was doing growing up. I literally, at the time, only cared about skateboarding and Annie's mac and cheese. I was like, what is he doing? But now I'm spiritual and mystical, and it was really beautiful to read this book of my dad's. Let me see if I could find one for you. Here's page 32. Write from this perspective of truth, but how? Without describing an experience. Like a wordless rose bush does not describe an experience. Rather, just to be next to a rose bush, just be next to a beautiful friend, and understanding arrives. So it's a collection of poetry. He self-published it. I'm really proud of him. And I've been, I was trying to formulate my coaching business, and I realized that I'd really like to just like feel it out with someone. So we've been meeting and I've been helping him express himself on Instagram. It's been awesome. Definitely a win that I stepped into that. Another win for March was good habits. I really started honing some good habits like working through the week, kicking the phone spirals, walks, gym, eating better, etc. And also kicking bad habits that create hell. Yeah, so everything I'm describing sort of snapped into place all at the same time, but when I decided I'm sick of my limiting money beliefs, I also decided I'm sick of the fucking phone spirals. I'm sick of not following through with my intentions. I'm sick of not prioritizing my creating and expression. I'm sick of not taking my business seriously. I'm sick of all of my bullshit. This all happened at once, and I started really integrating some good habits. And again, guys, like my karma is just working in this way where like spending the large sum of money on my coach kicked me into gear of like, okay, it's time to get serious. The money is empty of a nature, but because of what I put on the money, I'm like, okay, now let's get serious. Let's do these good habits. And so let me explain to you the good habits that have really been helping. And it took some iteration to find this, but Monday through Friday working from waking up until 5 p.m. and then cutting off work. Absolutely. So really pulling away, taking a break in the evenings. And then same thing Friday at 5 p.m., pulling away, done with work for the weekend, fully letting go. This has been amazing. It's funny because this is what the 9-to-5ers are doing too. But like as a self-employed creative entrepreneur, it's easy for me to get pulled into just always on, always activated, always a little stressed and anxious about what do I do. Allowing myself to get really deep into work. Okay. And even when I'm afflicting, even when I'm freaking out, like, oh my God, maybe I should just get a job. No matter what was going on in my mind for the past month, I have been forcing myself to zone in on work throughout the week and then pulling away for the weekend, like limited phone use. I would allow myself to like take down ideas and jot down notes on Post-it notes, but like no sitting at the computer, no thinking about the emails, the business, none of that. Really pulling away, even if that means spending the weekend just sitting at and staring at the wall. It lines up with my human design too, because the space gives me clarity. So that's been a beautiful habit. The honoring the yin yang of intensity in work versus intensity in rest. The other one is doing my laundry every week. Okay, I got to shout out my bestie Danny for this one. I just like have realized that the house is never fucking clean. And I was hanging out with Danny one day. I was like, Danny, well, like, what's your laundry schedule? And he was like, I do laundry every Saturday. So I was like, like that seems really cool. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. And since then, I've been doing my laundry every Saturday. Until that point, the laundry would just build up and pile higher and higher until I ran out of socks or underwear. Then I would lug freaking massive bags to the laundromat. It would be miserable. It was just too much. Now I bring it to the laundromat once a week. The pile is very manageable. It's I think I wrote this down somewhere. Guys, I'm like doing the laundry on Saturday, sometimes Saturday night, and I'm like having the best fucking time. I'm like so happy. I'm like I feel like I finally understand what Thich Nhat Hanh was saying about like the beauty of daily life. Calling it back to the false refuge, it's like I feel like for so much of my life, I thought I had to party on weekends and I have to have all these adventures and And the unfortunate thing about that is I'm putting so much pressure and I'm not letting myself just be. So even as I go on these adventures or these outings or parties, it's like I'm doing it because I think I have to. Whereas now I'm genuinely fired up about like forming good habits and doing laundry once a week and keeping the dishes clean and having a work schedule. It's like my energy is aligning towards these things. So I'm excited as I figure these things out, and I'm doing them with my full life force. So I've been genuinely just doing the laundry and feeling so ecstatic. I didn't write this on my March wins, but I feel like this point is related to the fact that I am 100 days sober. Now, I'm not claiming to be sober. This is not a decision that I made. During MTT, I learned about Buddhist vows, and one of them is absolutely no mind-altering substances. This is one of the vows. I am not taking vows right now. Maybe I will in the future, maybe not. But it did get me thinking. First of all, the experience I had in MTT really mirrored the experience I had taking acid 1 year prior. After I took the acid 1 year prior, I ended up being sober incidentally for about a month. It wasn't a decision. The alcohol just fell away. The weed fell away. Even coffee fell away for a while. I just didn't feel a need for it because I had such the experience I had on acid was so, I felt like I had everything. I felt like I had everything I could have possibly needed, and the present moment was so pristine that drinking and smoking weed just made absolutely no sense to me. So they just fell away for a while, but eventually they crept their way back in. And then MTT was a similar acid-like experience where I was so in tune with the spiritual truths that, and hearing about the vows, it just sort of became easy to drop. Just open the palm and let the beer bottle drop and let the weed joint drop. And I just haven't picked them up since. And yeah, I'm not sure about letting go of psychedelics, but I might be ready for that too. And I'm also not sure if I'll be sober forever. But for now, these 100 days have been awesome. And, it's hard to assign cause and effect. Like, am I getting on my good habits and taking my business seriously because I dropped the alcohol and the weed? Maybe. I don't really think so. I think it's more of this like overall snapping that has happened and like a readiness, and also just like growing up is happening. Like, I think all of these pieces are just emerging at the same time. But certainly not spending time, going out and drinking and waking up being hungover. It's like I'll wake up on a Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m. fired up to do laundry. You know what I mean? Whereas I used to wake up hungover, put everything off, the laundry piles up, I skip it, I eat unhealthy, all of that. But now there's like a beautiful integration happening. Eating healthier is a part of that too. Okay. Oh, and I also wanted to read you guys some of my bad habits that create hell. Let me pull these up. So I've got these on a home page on Notion. And so as I've been going through all these shifts, it became really important for me to firmly identify bad habits that I wanted to kick, because bad habits have this tendency to happen even though you don't intend on them happening. It's like how you just end up on an hour-long TikTok scroll spiral without even intending to. Maybe you checked your phone to just check what time it was, and then an hour later you're on fucking TikTok hell. So writing down the bad habits has totally helped me kick many of them. Okay, so I'm just gonna read out all the bad habits that create hell. Don't judge me. Okay, buying things at the grocery store you didn't intend to. No, you don't need an Olipop or ice cream. So I've been this first, actually, I first had this experience during the acid trip last year, but I I was eating this pasta, and like my body had such a negative reaction, like even just looking at the pasta, and it was a jar of sauce. Just looking at it on the acid disgusted me. And then when I put the first bite into my mouth, my body just refused it. And this experience taught me that my body actually tells me what it wants to eat and what it does not want to eat. And from that point on, I've been more careful about avoiding processed food. So my interpretation of the acid situation was that I actually used to buy like jars of pasta sauce, pre-made pasta sauce that had horrible additives and chemicals in them. And my body told me clearly, please don't eat that. Please don't eat that. It's hurting me. So I had that experience on the acid, and over time, I've been trying to eat much more wholesome, much healthier. This is another way I'm becoming similar to my parents in a way that I didn't understand back then. Like I said, I was obsessed with Annie's mac and cheese, which I have this app called Yuka, Yuka, where you can scan barcodes at the grocery store to see if there's any harmful additives, and Annie's mac and cheese had something that was pretty bad. I think it like impairs liver function or something. Anyways, my job is not to instill fear here. Right, the mind is very powerful, but my mind and body told me stop eating that shit. And since then, I became very attuned to my body's response to certain foods. And so I'll eat something and like immediately know that I shouldn't be eating it, and then I'll look at the ingredients and I can kind of spot out like why it's hurting me. Stomach aches, digestion issues, etc. Bad energy. So that's why that's on my list, because I'll go to the grocery store fully intending to buy wholesome, healthy, delicious food. And then I'll see like a thing of Oreos and I'll just grab it. It's strikingly similar to when you open your Instagram app just to check your DMs and then you end up scrolling for an hour. Like that experience of getting hooked by the algorithm, I've noticed, is the same as scrolling through the grocery store trying to find your healthy food, and then you see something eye-catching that you have a habit of purchasing, and then you do it because of the inertia of your bad habit. So writing that habit down, like I said, has helped me a lot in terms of cutting the bad habit. Okay, here's another one on the list of bad habits that create hell. Deciding/claiming that I will do something forever. For example, veganism, sobriety, YouTube. This always puts you into a pickle. Change is the only truth. I'm not 100% sure about how I feel about this one, but I have noticed a pattern in my life where I become obsessed with something and then I forget that the larger pattern is that I get really obsessed with things for like a month and then my obsession changes. Okay, so then I'll overcommit to the thing that I was obsessed with, thinking it's the thing that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. And then my passion shifts and I'm like, oh fuck, now I have to cut all these ties and it's really awkward. So that's why I put that there. Like, I don't need to make claims about forever. Me not claiming to be sober forever is a good example that I'm following through on that, right? This is all keeping me with a nice sense of freedom that I really enjoy and allows me to kind of live in a way that I really enjoy. Okay, I have a lot of them about the phone. These aren't sticking too well. I've generally found a nice pace of like Okay, I'm hitting the phone pretty hard during my working hours, but after that pulling away that I described, like after 5 p.m. and on weekends, I'm really trying to completely limit the scrolling on the phone. So that's sort of where I'm at now, but I'll read these out anyway. And I was with the bad habits, I've been experimenting and iterating. That's why there's so many about the phone. But it turns out what's working well for me right now is just to like integrate the phone habit into the work habit, right? But I had tried phone after 9 p.m., phone before morning routine, using phone without a timer / intention, using phone while getting ready to leave, using phone while waiting for someone, hitting snooze. I totally stopped hitting snooze. I also have fixed myself on an 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. sleeping schedule, which has fixed my sleep tremendously. I used to have no schedule and it was very hard to sleep. More bad habits that create hell. Doing work after 5 p.m. I really noticed that if I didn't force myself to stop working, and I would kind of teeter on the computer, check my emails, check my YouTube statistics or whatever after 5 p.m., it would sort of pull me into this stressful spiral, which would degrade the quality of my relaxation. What's cool I noticed about really pulling away from work completely is that I'm really excited then to actually get to work the next day. Not doing the dishes right away, skipping laundry day, mindless scrolling, another phone one, neglecting to plan quarter, month, week, day, neglecting to reflect on previous quarter, month, week, day, letting tasks consume more time than allotted due to perfectionism, not setting time constraints for work tasks. Okay, those two came up because I noticed like as I would like let's say I wanted to sit down and record a podcast, sometimes I would like procrastinate it because I wasn't quite in the mood or whatever. Or say I would be writing a newsletter. I would allow it to take like 3 days, which really wasn't necessary and was just a symptom of my perfectionism. So something I tried was like literally forcing myself to write a newsletter within 1 hour, and like it works. And if I intended to record a podcast, just sitting down and doing it works. So something I personally have to be careful of is like letting, like I could record this whole podcast, be like, oh, like it wasn't that good, and then stress about it the whole week. But no, it's like, it's Monday, it's on the calendar, we're doing it. Okay. Saying yes when I mean no, going to the gym less than 3 times a week, right? I'm not like obsessing over the gym and the, that sort of thing. I'm also, okay, ladies, close your ears. This one's for the guys, but I am 45 days clean from pornography, which is good. I never saw this as a problem because it was just so normal. Growing up, it was just completely normal to watch porn, and recently I've decided that it has no place to be in my life, so I've been cutting that as well. Okay, isn't it fascinating? All of those bad habits were part of a sub-point of my March reflection of the wins, okay? One more March win was spirituality. I've really been living in the spiritual principles that I've been learning. I also started learning about Jesus Christ, which has been amazing. He's a great guy, man. And here's another reading update. Okay, so my TikTok friend, originally TikTok friend Bob Peck, wrote this book called Original Sin is a Lie. I just hit a point where I had heard about Jesus so much that I was like, okay, it's time to understand who Jesus is. I also like the concept of emptiness in Buddhism made me realize that people who go to church and believe in Jesus are probably going there and having these really profound experiences about Jesus. Just because I don't know who he is or what the story is or what he's experiencing doesn't mean there's nothing there. So emptiness opened me to Jesus. I also had this experience at a funeral where I was like looking at the images on the church, and I remember particularly seeing the halo around him as he was like rising up after these soldiers attacked him or something. I don't know. I was struck by the image. I was like, it's time to learn about Jesus. Jesus is someone I was really closed off to for my whole life because like I just perceived church energy as really strange and weird vibes, but became open to it. In Original Sin is a Lie, Bob Peck like pulls out the parallels between Jesus, Ram Dass, Eastern spirituality. He talks about why church energy is so weird, where they miss the mark, etc. It's been a really beautiful book. I'm starting to rush now because I'm like, damn, how long am I gonna go? But wait, let me take a deep breath. It's perfect. It's actually perfect. No, but it's been really cool to read about Jesus. He's like one of my obsessions right now. He's like my current obsession. I went to church twice. I don't know. I realized like I'm free. I can walk into a church if I want to learn about Jesus. If I want to learn about what's going on in churches, like I can go and experience it. So I've been feeling really free in that way, and yeah, like guys, like Jesus energy, Buddhist energy, manifestation girly energy. There's a truth that like I feel like they're all pointing to. And actually in Bob Peck's book, he elucidates that really well. Like the universal truth that all of these religions and spiritual systems kind of point to. Human design, money mindsets, my dad's mysticism. At a certain point you realize like, oh, it's all dharma. It's all truth. It's all the same thing. A Course in Miracles has been in my mind heavy. Yeah. So really beautiful to be adding the Jesus piece of the puzzle to all this. It's been really, really cool. And on that point, the spirituality being a win in March, it's like everything I'm sharing, all of the wins I've shared thus far they go in line with that point. They're all developments of my spiritual journey, of my learning who I really am and what I'm really capable of, right? Let me take a pee break. That's allowed, right? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just took a lunch break, went for a walk, got another coffee. So, I think now we're on my April intentions, and actually much of the work with the monthly intention setting and reflection happened during the March reflection. There was a pretty all-encompassing reflection that already sort of, I think, gave me a good direction for April, but pretty much the only intention, no, there's more. Okay, so one intention I called out was get organized with content. And I specifically got really excited about this idea of really making the podcast like the pillar of my expression. Because I've been having these realizations about social media and how I sort of slip into serving the social media company's purpose as opposed to serving my own purpose. So I've been really excited about this idea of like the podcast is, well, I love it. Obviously you can feel it. I love expressing myself on the podcast. And then, you know, the other, also there's this crazy idea. Maybe I've shared it already, but I realized that the podcast is writing, Writing is the podcast. Talking is writing. Writing is talking. Creating a video is writing. It's all writing. And I've realized that the way I like to write is by sitting down and talking. So I don't know, this all sort of stormed into this idea that like, oh yeah, I really like to like sit down and let it rip. And from that, I can piece out, I can cut up different content, and I could even create a newsletter and short form and all this stuff. And anyways, get organized with content. The only schedule I'm committing to this month is a weekly podcast episode. I'm not firmly committing to any schedule on the Skate YouTube channel or on TikTok or Instagram. In fact, when it comes to this idea of like creating space by saying no, I'd really love to just be done with TikTok, or at least like only post and never scroll on that app, because I don't know that anything good since they dropped the TikTok shop. I don't know like that much good has come of it for me. It just seems like an energy drain. So yeah, something that I go through a lot on my journey with the creator business is like an overwhelm about feeling like, oh, I have to post every day on Instagram and TikTok and have a YouTube schedule and a podcast schedule. And then as I have like multiple accounts on some of these platforms, it's like it gets super overwhelming, and there's this feeling that I have to do it all. But actually shifting to trusting my gut, and my gut is saying weekly podcast, don't stress about anything else right now. We can always reevaluate later on, add an Instagram piece if it feels right. But for now, I'm feeling really good about that. Next, April intention, continue opening to abundance. I'm going to reopen myself to one-on-one client work, whether it be social media coaching or intuitive spiritual coaching. Actually, earlier on, I was doing what I called a one-on-one spiritual chat, and I had so much fun with that, and it really lit me up, and I don't really know why I ended that. So there's a lot of ideas storming about what sort of one-on-one offering I could do. Maybe there could be a one-off session as an option, as well as a longer program. This is storming and developing very quickly. But generally continuing to develop that money mindset, as well as taking the actions required, like actually bravely creating products and services, promoting them, etc. I'm like out of breath, man. I need to calm down. Okay, and then the last April intention that I specifically wrote down is to practice living my human design. Now, I wrote a bunch of quotes on this page from this book by Jenna Zoe. These are quotes specifically relating to my human design, so they may not be relevant to your human design, but I will read the quotes that I wrote so you can get a flavor of what was resonating with me. Okay, when a generator does what they love, everyone wins. Do more things that excite you and fewer things that don't. Trust that your excitement is divine guidance. You never know just how you're helping the situation by saying no. The not self of generators is frustration. Use it as a cue to change something up. When life sends you something it wants you to do, you will feel a rush of excitement through your whole body. This is your cue to say yes and to pursue it. Learning to trust your physical attraction to something or your repulsion to it will eliminate so much confusion and light the path ahead of you with so much clarity and simplicity. Be humble and show your human sides, but own your position of wise one. So those were some quotes from the Human Design book that I really, really enjoyed, and I'm going to try to really practice living my design in the month of April. Okay, and saying that I'm going to practice living my design is also Another way of saying that I'm going to try to live in line with my higher self. I'm going to try to trust the universe. I'm going to try to live according to the Buddhist principles. I'm going to try to live according to what Jesus taught. I'm going to try to live without ego and live in love and say fuck you to fear and choose love, and it's all the same shit. All right, but but I'm really resonating with the human design piece in this moment. Okay, awesome. Through my March reflections and April intentions, I hit on everything that I intended to hit on in this episode. So nice to get that out and just share with you exactly what's going on. I feel like I'm in a really good place. I'm really excited. There's a lot of energy. Everything I just shared is really energizing me, so I know that it's perfect and right. Okay, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. As a reminder, you can get ad-free episodes every week at patreon.com/George Poulos, as well as other community benefits. Look forward to seeing some of you over there. Peace out. Godspeed on your journey. See you next time.